Fresh from the Combine and his 40-yard dash, Rich Eisen from the NFL Network and the Rich Eisen Show on DirecTV's Audience Network. And Richie Rich joins us now. Did you ever storm a court when you were at Michigan? Never.
No. When I was at Michigan, we did storm the campus though after Glenn Rice and and Ramil Robinson won the national championship. I drew the short straw that night, Dan. I was the sports editor who had to close the Michigan Daily that night. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Schefter was covering the game on the road in Seattle, I believe.
Yeah.
And I had to lock his column, and I had to run across campus with everybody running in the opposite direction towards the center of campus.
You and Schefter were on the school newspaper?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
The Michigan Daily.
Nice.
Yeah. And then he left, and then I covered Bo's last season at the Michigan Daily.
Did Schefter break news back then?
Oh gosh, yeah, and it's odd. He would always do it in front of a bookcase, Dan. Very strange. Very, very strange. But Adam. Everybody knew at the time Adam was going places. That's for sure.
Did you see this story about the girls' high school basketball teams in
What
Tennessee?
What is up with that? What was up with that?
Okay, if you lost, you somehow got to avoid the best team in the state. So this is Tennessee basketball, and they both tried to lose. And one team ended up winning 55-29, I think. But
so somebody's really bad at losing. Then is what you're saying.
Yeah, but they both got disqualified from the state tournament because they were trying to lose.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, the kids are going to do what the coach asked them to do or tells them to do. The coaches, to me, should be fired.
Agreed.
And you know what I would do? I'd have somebody come in and be the interim head coach for the team that won 55-29 and see what they can do. And, I mean, I know everything doesn't have to be a life lesson here, but I think when grown-ups get involved, that's when youth sports get screwed up. And here's the high school level, and you're telling them, let's lose so we have a better chance of going further in the state championship.
Couldn't be a worse lesson to teach. Couldn't be a worse lesson to teach in life that, because, look, everybody, no matter if you go into sports or not, when you are going to work, obviously sometimes you feel like you're up against it and something may not go your way in the workplace, but you have to keep trying. You have to keep somehow, some way, putting nose to the grindstone and figuring out that everything's going to work out for the best. So what if you go up against another team, that's better than you? It's like some coaches will show that team the movie Hoosiers to inspire them, and others will tell them to throw it. And it's just amazing that both coaches had the same idea. That's the one thing that I was wondering about.
But aren't we a tanking society, though, Rich?
What does that mean, Dan?
That you look at all the pro teams that they tank. The NBA, that's a tanking league.
Well, I mean, and you've always heard tennis players that tank, sometimes because there's tournaments that are more important coming up, and they realize that they don't want to get into a 5-setter or a 3-setter. I mean, you've heard that too.
Yeah.
And you've heard about for better draft picks. But I think, though, when it all comes down to it, the reason why, teams are rootable or fans root is because, of the competition. And seasons like, I guess, what the Sixers were going through, they just started winning, but the Knicks are going through, they're horrible. It's awful, and fans should be upset about that. But, if it trickles down to the high school system, that's the one thing I want to know is, did the two coaches get together and say, or they were just looking at each other peripherally throughout the game and saying, well, if they're tanking, I'll show you how to tank. I'll show you how to put you in the tank. I mean, I saw free throws hitting the backboard. It's horrible. It's terrible.
I think you had somebody scoring in the wrong basket. I mean, you're just watching it going, you're going into state playoffs. Shouldn't you be, and do you care about winning? And the coaches had to say, hey, here's the deal. If we lose, we're in a different bracket than the best team in the state. So let's go out there and lose. And then the other.
But you have to take on that best team in the state eventually, right? I mean, the brackets eventually do intersect again at some point if you do go to the best possible end of your bracket. Makes no sense. If this is the team that you have to beat and the team that you're going to have to go against, none of it made sense to me. It's horrible, and you're right. Somebody should lose a gig over that.
He's Rich Eisen from the NFL Network and the Rich Eisen Show, which follows this one, DirecTV's Audience Network, coming up at the top of the hour. Back from the Combine.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts going in about Jameis Winston and your thoughts leaving the Combine about Jameis Winston.
Well, they're definitely improved. There's no question about it. Coming into the Combine, I wanted to see how he dealt with the questions from the media. I wanted to see how he dealt with the spotlight of competing and winging the football around and seeing if he was going to make that choice. Hearing what was coming out of the interview rooms. I wanted to hear about all that. And he aced it. He aced every last one of it. It just comes down to it. The question that I asked this of Peter King on my show yesterday, and this is the question, is that if he is so intelligent, which he is, and he has the football IQ and he has the intelligence to have gotten into Stanford if he so chose, and he is that guy that from the neck up can dissect you on a football field and knows how to prepare to do that. If he is that intelligent on all those fronts, then why is he jumping on a cafeteria table or screaming at a cafeteria? I have no idea if he jumped on a table, the crab legs, all that stuff that happened after the incident that he was accused of but never charged with doing. So, you have to be the face of a franchise. You are already the face of an institution. You already know that you have won a Heisman Trophy, and you represent that. Then why are you doing all that other stuff? And if it's pressure, if it's this or it's that, won't that be a bigger crucible when you are the number one overall pick in the NFL? And that's for Tampa to choose. And I think they will eventually go ahead and choose, and they won't do it holding their nose. I think they're going to be all in on them and excited to hand in that draft card.
I don't know if you can have the football IQ that's comparable to Peyton Manning, as I guess one scout said, and you throw 18 interceptions in college. It's hard to throw 18 interceptions if you're a great quarterback.
Well, I mean, and the conversation that I was hearing at the Combine was his weapons weren't the same. Kelvin Benjamin, as we all know, went on to the next level. His number one weapon was Nick O'Leary, and he's not even the number one tight end on people's draft boards going into this draft. That he felt that he needed to put everything on his shoulder. That he does have the mentality of the gunslinger. That he feels like he could fit it in there. And he's also a closer in baseball, where you just turn the page and you got to save the game. I'm wondering if he's that closer that put two guys on, loaded the bases, and then struck out the side, for Florida State. That's the mentality that he had, and I know it scares Mayock and it scares a lot of evaluators. But when it all comes down to it, Tampa has the choice between him and Mariota, and he is more pro-ready. I mean, Mariota, we're even hearing, Mayock was telling me, and I talked with Peter King about this on yesterday's show. Phillip Rivers is counseling Mariota in ways where he's telling him, look in the mirror at night and just call plays. Because he hasn't done it since high school. Getting the verbiage down. And again, this has nothing to do with whether or not he can't be the next Aaron Rodgers. Of course he can be. I'm not saying that. But when you are a number one overall choice and you want somebody who's pro-ready and you want somebody who can do it, that's where it comes down to. But Mariota, also as Charles Davis was saying, he could run for the governor of Hawaii. I mean, he is that clean off the field. Although there are his off the field is probably cleaner than some governors in the United States. So you do have to make that choice, and I think when it does come down to it, Mariota will watch Winston go to the podium first overall, and perhaps put that as another chip on his shoulder moving forward in the NFL.
Remember we talked about this at the Super Bowl. Marshawn Lynch was getting all this credit because he was, basically putting it back in the media's face, and hey, he shouldn't have to talk, and maybe there's something wrong with him. And I said, this is all marketing. I mean, this is brilliant marketing on his part.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he wants to trademark the "I'm just here so I won't get fined." He's about making money here, not about this cause, this heroic cause. I'm not going to talk to the media.
Listen, he may be shy and not want to talk to the media. That I don't think that is an act, but somebody in his camp explained to him.
Oh, yeah. It's like Marshawn Lynch. Just shut up right away. See if you can get Rich back. I just want to find out who's on his show coming up there, because we got Stacey King joining us. Is Rich back with us? What happened,
Yeah,
Rich?
I don't know, Dan. I don't know, Dan. I just thought I thought I was here so I wouldn't get fined. Can we use those lines now, or are they already trademarked?
They're trademarked. I don't think you can put it on a shirt.
Did it cost me to say that? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, but as I was saying, somebody clearly thought in his camp, or he thought it himself. Obviously, it's one or the other or both. He wore a beast mode hat at all these press conferences at which he wasn't speaking, and somebody made sure it was made by the same company that makes the gear for the NFL. And he had pop-up stores in Arizona, Dan. I mean, the gear was being sold on the spot at pop-up stores, at beast mode pop-up stores with the 12s all over the place all week long. So somebody was really savvy about it. This is just part of the whole plan, I think.
Who's on the show today?
We have David Faraday on to talk a little bit of golf. Will Forte has got a new show coming up on Fox, The Last Man on Earth. He'll come in studio and bust out your $20 bills, Dan, because the mighty Gammons, Peter Gammons, to talk some baseball. Did you ever see him autograph a $20 bill?
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah, because people would say he looked like Andrew Jackson.
And they would send it to him in the mail.
Yeah.
He would have a stack of fan mail, open some up, and $20 would pop out, and he would sign them all and send them back. I watched him do that.
Peter Gammons, ESPN.
ESPN.
All right, buddy.
Take care, DV.
Have fun. Rich Eisen, his show coming up top of the hour on DirecTV's Audience Channel, 239.